Hey folks, this is ioEther and we're back with some more World of Tanks. As you can see, this is iRush in his Tier 6 Cromwell. This is a Tier 6 game on Ensk, and this is the Tier 6 Premium Cromwell. Got it in the Berlin pack, I believe. And it's a beautiful little way to run almost exactly the same as a Cromwell while making a ton of cash. And so, as you can tell, this is not a normal game. We're actually running a stronghold game for today. But I figured it was something nice to change up the pace with. And so, before we get into the game, as always, if you enjoy this, if you think that this is a strategy that deserves MVP status, then go ahead and hit that like button and help Garrett get towards his MVP. Ooh, nice handbrake turn. And of course, let me finish my sentence before we get into the actual gameplay. If you think I deserve subscribers, please do share this. And in all things, thanks to patrons for they really truly support this channel. If you're looking for somewhere to pen a Cromwell and you're in anything else, basically don't shoot it in this section here. Other than that, pretty much you're just going to go straight through. Cromwell relies on speed and surprise to kill its opponents. You're not going to have any trouble penning it. Okay. Getting into the battle, you can see actually doing a nice bit of focus fire. Both sides are actually wait, was I'm now in fixed camera. Okay. Good. No, we're about to lose. We lost one tank already. Well, now we lost the second tank. So we're down one tank, which is bad. Little interesting note. Both teams have only lost Cromwell so far. And the enemy team has a Type 64. Also, apparently dropped an artillery strike right beside us, taking out one enemy. Good lord, I don't think I'm going to be able to comment on the speed at which this game starts off with. But it reduces down to only having 2 enemies left and 3 allies. Now, up until this point right here, we hadn't seen much more of that Type 64. He pretty much just hightailed it out of here. And he just come back in just in time to get himself killed. If he'd been here earlier in the battle, this may have been a completely different result. Because he could have harassed the flanks a lot easier when there have been distracting targets. And now there's a 2-on-2, this actually gets really bad really fast. Nice shot into the first T-34A5. And notice how he takes out one T-34A5 without stopping to make himself a target for both of them. Now he is a, I think he is a 2-shot actually. And I'm actually pretty sure the T-34 is a 2-shot as well. So those guys are more or less dueling at this point in time, and it does come down to the first person to get that surprise round off that, well, as long as it pens, anyway. Surprise round will be the thing that decides this. We're going to speed this up a little bit, because as much as waiting for the ambush is the correct tactic, it's also kind of boring to watch. Though it will be suspenseful. Is he gonna go over a jump? No jumps. Saddening. But I understand in that split second, you know, he doesn't want to. Good lord, he's knocking a lot of trees down. So iRush in the future, settle down with the trees. If you stop knocking trees and poles over, there's no way the enemy would know where you are. Unless, of course, you roll into their cap zone. In which case he knows exactly where you are now. This is either going to be a game-winning move or the worst way to end the game. So he's it was just a tension up here. So I'm assuming one of his allies is telling him a better place to be sitting. And that's, yeah, this is a much better spot than down there in the open cap circle. Now, he's going to have to get himself into some cover. Stop knocking down everything in sight. Good lord. Yes, you could. Okay, so you can park yourself up here. I'd prefer if he was in a bush, because a bush. If he could get his whole tank into a bush, then he could sit there and have sight lines, and the enemy would more or less have to stumble across him. Also, the spinning camera thing is not happening. Oh, T-3485 has decided it wants to cap. Ooh. Okay, so now the T-34 has actually thrown the initiative back over onto our side of the court, and this gives us a real edge. You notice that we have switched to gold rounds. I don't know if we've been firing gold rounds this entire time or not. I haven't actually paid attention to that. It hasn't been necessary up until now. It's not truly necessary now, but what it does do is does guarantee that any hits are more likely to go through, and at this point in time, I'd be loading the gold too. It's not anything I would worry about. Now, the fact that we can't see him is a little disconcerting. There's a bush there he could be behind. Or he's just on the other side of a train car, firing under. Good word. I was on the mistaken impression he was a two-shot. He's obviously a lot more than a two-shot. So we put 3 shots into him so far, and finally the 4th shot kills him. Though there was a fire there, so that was actually a really, really impressive duel. And duel was not quite the right word. That was a slaughter. So, if you're in this type of situation and this is happening to you, the first thing he needed to do was get out of there. He tried to come closer, but obviously by coming closer, he was just making himself a better and better target. And so the first shot entered him. He was, for some reason, out in the open, sitting, pointing this way. He would have been better sitting behind this bush or in this bush, or one of these 2 bushes. And if he'd been here, then he would have been able to get out and around here before he died. And either these locations, he probably actually would have been dead had he been spotted in either 2 of these locations. But here he could have driven out and around and put hard cover between him and iRush, and then iRush would have had a lot harder time following him up, especially if he only got 1 or 2 shells into him before he got into hard cover. It still took 2 more shells plus the fire to actually kill him. So, sorry, yeah, it was hard to tell which of these is which, but so it was 4 shells and a fire to actually kill him. Yeah. This was well played by iRush, and I'm so glad you stopped capping. Well, I was so, not happy, but I understand the position you're in. And this is the thing about watching enemy health bars. If you can always remember what the enemy health it was at, then you know whether or not you should be aggressive or defensive. If the enemy health bar, if he was truly a 2-shot, then playing aggressive and jumping in the enemy cap is not a bad plan. It pulls the enemy to you and lets you do something about them. Assuming that you are confident you can get the first shot off, you can pull back into cover and they'll miss or whatever, and then you can get a second shot off and stuff like that, then that's not bad. It's not a great plan, however. Hunting them when you can get into cover is a better plan, especially if you can, like Irish did, launch a surprise ambush on them and destroy them, or at least damage them before they even know what's happening. Such a better plan than sit and wait in the open. If you can help it, never sit and wait in the open, unless you are purposely acting as bait and the rest of your team will murder anyone who comes anywhere close to you, in which case, maybe. Well played though, iRush, well played. We'll jump over to his stats in a second. Oh, look at that. Well done. Most damage on his team by actually a fair margin. He's what? If you add these 2 together, you don't get his damage. That's a little bit unfortunate. But also, Wait, was this the guy he was dueling with at the end? He put no. Look at that. So, he was dueling with Crispy Waters because we know because he put 4 shells into him. Yoda for you, was the T-34A5 that he ran past as he executed. That was well played because that was by far their best player. If you left him alive, then this duel would have ended a different way entirely. Look at that. This is their worst player on that particular match. Now, it's not necessarily worst player by skill, but worst player by that in that match. And that was the guy you end up dueling against in the end. That's a stroke of luck right there, and well played. Good job. 80 defense points. Yeah, that was also well played. He didn't rush in. He scattered around and made sure the coast was clear, and there wasn't a gun looking at him before he, popped around and started putting shots into the back of the poor defender. Not how much cash you can make in the. Actually, you know what? I don't know if he was firing gold the entire time, but this number tells me most likely he was. And so, assuming he wasn't firing gold this entire time, he would have made a ton of cash running the Cromwell Premium Edition. And that's one of the reasons I truly love this tank. Playing one of my favorite tanks in the game and making bundles of credits while doing it is just a joy. Especially if you run it in strongholds and you start winning. Oh, the cash just rolls right in. So thank you so much, Irish, for saying this in. Again, if you guys think that this deserves an MVP, then go ahead, hit that like button. If you think I deserve more subscribers, please share this. And all things, thank the Patreons, for they are awesome, and they definitely keep us rolling over here. And I will see you all later. This ioEther out.